Hi, I'm Jeannie. Welcome back to Faithful Palate. Today, our step in the right direction is the subject of milk. Milk is like the holy grail in standard American diet. We have come to believe that milk is just about the best thing in the world. We give it to our toddlers. We give milk to children in elementary school with each of their school lunches. We think of milk as nothing short of sacred. However, if you have come to a place in your life where you realize that milk is not the sacred cow in your diet, we have an alternative for you. It's called almond milk. Now, I want to address a couple of issues as far as nutrition between cow's milk and plant-based milk to begin with. First of all, as you know, I highly recommend going through this book, The China Study, and going through it very well. Once you do that, you probably won't have any use for milk at all, because about 70 to 80% of the protein in milk is actually casein, not very good for you, and an actual cause of heart disease and cancer long term. However, what you probably understood from reading the China Study is that milk was probably homogenized, pasteurized, or processed in who knows how many other ways. It wouldn't be fair of me as an educator to not give you a point in a direction of a further education on the subject of milk. The untold story of milk will teach you more about whole, raw milk, where it came from, what happened to it, and what good it might serve. However, today, our step in the right direction is almond milk. Almond milk can be used in place of homogenization, pasteurization, and casein. Almond milk is delicious. You can buy it in the store, or you can make your own. It's much cheaper, and it's very easy. Okay, so what does it take to make almond milk? Basically, it takes approximately a 3-to-1 ratio of water and almonds. You're going to want to take your almonds out and soak them. However, I have a shortcut for you. If you have forgotten to soak your almonds, you can blend them up twice. But for today, I have soaked almonds, and what I have is 3 cups of water, and 1 cup of soaked almonds. Now this ratio, once I have it blended up, will taste exactly like the almond milk that you can buy in a container at the grocery store. But this is much faster, fresher, and cheaper. All right, if you're fortunate enough to have one of these high-powered blenders that I use, a Blendtec, then what you do is you secure the lid tightly and just press hold juice. Now, before we do this, I want to give you some recipe ideas. First of all, just the almonds and water will give you a plain milk. That is something good that you can add on to things that won't require any sweets or anything like that. If you are cooking, and if you happen to make mashed potatoes, if you use cooked foods still, a lot of people still do, then this is good for your mashed potatoes. And things of that nature, things that don't require a difference between salt or sugar, things like that. This is a plain almond milk. If you want something a little sweeter, perhaps to put on your oatmeal or your rice, one of the things you might consider is adding to this water and almonds, throwing in some vanilla. I like to use 1 whole vanilla bean, which is actually the equivalent of 3 teaspoons of vanilla, or you can just throw in a teaspoon of vanilla if that's all you have on hand. Vanilla beans are not cheap, but they're delicious. And also throw in about 3 or 4 dates. The dates will make it sweet, the vanilla will add flavor, and this is very delicious. So today we just have almonds and water on a 3-to-1 ratio, and on your blender just push whole juice. Okay, we're back. If you didn't have enough time or you didn't remember to soak your almonds, you can cheat and you can just push whole juice 1 more time. Today, however, we were fortunate enough to have some soaked almonds. Before I strain this, I want to talk to you a little bit about almonds. When you buy almonds, don't just run down to the grocery store and grab your quick bag of almonds. Almonds are something that has been treated within our food system today. What you want almonds that are raw, unpasteurized, and organic. Those three things. Do yourself a favor and do a Google search. Find yourself a farm close by, and quite frankly, the only ones you're going to find, I believe, are in California. Find yourself a farm where you can buy the almonds directly. They're not cheap. For 5 pounds, you might spend $40. But those almonds will last you for almond milk. It will last you a long time. When the almonds come in the mail, just open them up, take the almonds you want, put them on to soak in the fridge, and then just put the rest in your freezer. But those are the kinds of almonds that you want to buy. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. 3-to-1 ratio, almonds to water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into what's called a nut milk bag. They look like this. You can use your basic cheesecloth also. I use this simply because it's more convenient, but I'm not that good at it, so I might spill it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to pour my blended almonds and water in my nut milk bag, and it spills. Okay. Now, to get your almond milk, what you want to do is you want to squeeze this bag, and this is what makes almond milk less than perfect. Remember, if you wanted to have a whole product, you would not do what I'm doing right now. You would simply pour it directly from the blender into your glass. However, it tastes very grainy, and most people making a transition from regular milk to almond milk want it to have at least the same consistency. Now, while I'm milking this almond bag, let's talk for just a minute about pasteurization. Pasteurization, which is what happens to the milk that you're buying in the grocery store, is a process by which the milk is heated up very high and then quickly reduced in temperature. Pasteurization came about because when cows were being milked, there was diseases being transmitted by the people who were working with the cows, and the time that the milk would spend between coming from the cow and getting into the fridge of the person who was buying it could be 2 to 3 weeks or more, and it would be disease-ridden. That wasn't healthy. So they came about with pasteurization, thank Louis Pasteur for that, and it killed the diseases. That's great, but it also killed the nutrition. So now you don't have the enzymes necessary to digest the product, the milk itself. On top of that, we do homogenization. And for those of you who think they're the same, they're actually not. Homogenization is a process by which the remaining fat left in the milk is blended up at a very high rate of speed, and it forces the fat molecules to be very, very small. So small, in fact, that it blends with the milk. Now, this is done mostly for aesthetics, for looks and for taste. It doesn't have really anything to do with the safety of the milk at all. It's just about that. That's just aesthetics, that's all. Now, the problem we have with that particular process is that once the fat cells are that small, they stick to the arteries much more likely, and the chances of getting a heart attack from drinking homogenized milk is much greater than from not, or from whole milk or raw milk or anything like that. You don't want homogenized milk. You just don't. You don't want pasteurized milk. You want a milk that is as whole as possible. Now, what I'm doing right now is actually separating the pulp of the almond from the water that we blended with it. What's coming through here is the almond milk. Now, this milk is delicious, and you can use this in place of regular milk. This is not a perfect food. Keep this in mind. This is a fractionated food, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. There is no animal fat here. There is no casein here. There is no cholesterol here. There is nothing in here that's going to harm you. Best case scenario, you're going to take this product that's inside your milk bag and you're going to make cookies with it later, or you're going to blend it in with some other recipe. And that way, you can still be using the whole almond. But for today, we're going to separate this out. Here. See if I can do this. I'm going to walk over to the sink here and pour this glass of milk. What do you know? I didn't spill it. I could have done that. All right, now to taste this, it's not sweet at all. That is very delicious. That is fresh, cold, and very delicious. Your kids are gonna love that on their morning oatmeal. And this is a definite step in the right direction. Thank you so much. My name is Jeannie. You're watching Faithful Palates, A Step in the Right Direction. Until next time.